Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Global Adventure Show with travel writer Debbie Stone. Welcome, everybody. Travel writer Debbie Stone is back, taking us to Hawaii, a place that she keeps going back to. She kind of does that with certain places. Oregon is one of them. Washington State is one of them. I could go on. Actually, there's a list because the thing is, we call her the fire monkey. She doesn't stop. And we call her fire monkey. I always like to remind people of why she is called the fire monkey. And that is because she got that name when she went to Bhutan. How many years ago was that, Debbie? Like Bhutan was like, what, 7 years ago? Like five,
Yeah,
six,
maybe
seven?
six maybe years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
it's been a
Do you
while.
feel that connection in Bhutan, like going to Hawaii, those kind of like Asian influences when you were
Oh, well,
in
I
Hawaii?
think anywhere you go,
Mm,
I mean, you West Coast and beyond, so to speak, you feel the elements, the meld of those, whether it's the Asian cultures and the South Pacific and Islander cultures, especially with
mm.
food, definitely.
And that's what we're talking about today
Yes,
because you went on another food tour. Now, I know everyone, Debbie loves a food tour. And I know you love them
absolutely.
not just because of the food, but whenever you go on a food tour, don't you kind of feel like you're getting the history of a culture when you go?
Yes, and I feel like it brings me closer to the culture or a better understanding of the culture, at least and definitely elements of the culture. I think are more defined. Uh, I think easily more defined when you're like doing a food tour or even a cooking class. Also, I feel like there's an element of authenticity to that I really enjoy when I'm traveling.
Mm. And then also you're getting a lay of the land too about what people can grow. So you're getting the
Yes,
microclimate kind of, you know,
yes,
that lowdown
definitely.
of what they can grow, the climate, and all
Right.
of that. So you're really getting what can go on for people. So this conversation, everyone, is based off of an article that Debbie wrote. Savor the flavors on an Aloha Plate Hawaii food tour in Honolulu. And this article is up on blendradioandtv.com. You'll see it in an upcoming issue of Eat, Drink, and Be Merry magazine. The show notes, as well as two other podcasts we've done with Debbie today about her adventures in Honolulu and beyond. Right. So you went to uh, you went to a ranch where you got to see where food was grown and be a
Yes.
movie set. And Kualoa, am I saying that right? I'm going to make
Yes.
sure. And so now you go to Honolulu. And so that's kind of interesting to see both sides, to go to the actual place where things is where animals are raised and fruit and vegetables and flowers are grown, and then actually go on a food tour. So that's got to
Yes.
be very cool to have both sides.
And especially this food tour, who the man who owns and operates the company and serves as a guide is Lanai Tabura, and he grew up on
Mm,
Lanai actually, which is interesting. But he grew up in a family of foodies, and so
hmm
he learned early on about food, and that it just seemed natural for him that he would do something with food. And so maybe some of you have heard his name. I had not, but if you are a Food Network person who watches a lot of food shows, you might have heard his name. He was winner of the Food Network's Great Food Truck Race.
We
He
like
is
that.
host of Lifestyle Network's Cooking Hawaiian Style. He also was appeared on the Travel Channel's No Reservations, where he co-hosted with Anthony Bourdain and cooked
hmm
for none other than Bourdain. And he
Dude.
said to us that he loves to travel. He gets to travel and eat, and that it's the best job that he has. It really is, And he does food tours not only in Hawaii, but he does food tours in Japan and China, Thailand, and Portugal.
Wow. So you got it. So he is like an icon. He's a
He
foodie
is
icon.
definitely an icon, absolutely,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
knows
and the fact
knows
that he knows
everything.
Bourdain too. Like, I'm
Yes,
sorry, I still miss Bourdain. I still can't believe he's gone. It's very hard to rewatch like episodes,
yes, it is.
kind of like, oh, but I was talking about also the agricultural side, and he took you to Foodland Farms, and so I think that's really important too because then you got to see the
It's
actual.
it's It's actually not a farm. It's just a
Nope.
store. It's a
Hmm.
grocery store, but it is well known there because it has a fabulous produce section, which he went to show us the different kinds of things like apple, bananas, and sugar cane and pineapples. And it was very interesting because a lot of people believe that, pineapple is a symbol of Hawaii, and it
Mm-mm.
has been, but it's ironic because it's not native to the islands. And, the pineapple industry was built there, but and at one time the state was really supplying over almost 90% of the world's canned pineapple. But growing that fruit became cheaper in other countries, and so the canneries and the everything folded in the 80s, and so the fruit is no longer. It is no longer. You cannot get pineapple from Hawaii. It's not exported.
Wow.
It's grown solely for Hawaiians. You can get it when you're in Hawaii. But you cannot. It is now no longer exported.
Because I thought that that was the whole thing with the Doles getting over there. And that actually goes into some of the history of statehood and not statehood.
Yes,
And
yes.
there's drama. Let's just put it,
There's
it's
a lot
just
of
like
there's a lot of
there's
drama
stuff,
there,
which is
but it's
history,
but
you know.
it was interesting to learn that because a lot of people I had no idea about this, that they were no longer
I didn't
exported.
know that at all. Yeah.
But
Huh.
Foodland Farms is notable for one of the largest selections of house-made poke. And if you go to Hawaii, poke is what you will find all over the place. And it is fabulous. It's wonderful. And this store sells 1 million pounds of poke each month. And poke, I learned, means in Hawaiian means to cut, cube, or slice. And so at this store, the most popular was the ahi yellowtail, and so we got to sample different kinds of poke, which is wonderful. And then they have something called the spam musubi, which is basically grilled spam that's been sandwiched uh,
Spam.
in between or on top of a rice block and wrapped with the nori, the edible seaweed. And it was brought over by Japanese immigrants when they came to work on the plantations. And it's a big
Mm.
deal in Hawaii. But once again, it wasn't there to begin with. The GIs brought it when they were in
Yes.
World War II, and so now though there's more than 15 different flavors of spam. I'm not a fan at all, and but a lot of people love it. And if
You're
you're in
not a
Hawaii,
fan
or
of spam. I just had to say
no,
that because it
I'm not a
rhymes.
fan of spam exactly. But anyway, so that was something to hear, learn about. So while you're eating and tasting and sampling, Lanai tells you about history of things and interesting tidbits about the food that you're eating and the history
Mm.
of the food and how it came, whether it is something that is there in Hawaii and has been there in Hawaii forever, or whether it was brought over. And then we went over to Honolulu's Chunwa Kam Noodle Factory, which is like a
Ooh.
really popular noodle and bun factory, which is the buns, which are called manapua, is like a steamed bun, and it can be sweet
Mm.
and savory. And so, the ones that are full of pork are probably the most famous, but they can make them with chicken. They make them with azuki beans, and as I said in my story, they're like these mini little soft pillows, and the company there sells 14,000 of them each day. I mean, this is like, this is the food people love. Hawaiians, this is what they love. They eat this, all the time. And then from there, they took us to the Hawaiian Chip Company, and we had taro
Wow.
chips and wonderful,
Okay, taro.
sweet
Let's
potatoes. I
let's
love
backtrack.
taro. Yes,
Let's go back on that because taro is like a root that we
yes.
sometimes see in our grocery stores and we go, what the heck is that? What do we do with it? And we're like, I don't know. Right. But in Hawaii, taro is like a staple, right? That's like a
Yes,
main ingredient.
it's a starchy vegetable, root vegetable, and it's used everywhere in everything, and it, so in the chips we have that there, but you can also have it just taro that's
Are
made
they
and
sweet? Are the
it
chips
can,
sweet?
it's kind of like nutty tasting in my mind. I said it was kind of
Okay.
mild and nutty, and I love taro chips. They're I could eat a whole bag of those,
Like
so
sweet potatoes are
yes.
Swedish, but almost not. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
sweet potatoes have more
Ooh,
of a sweeter taste. This has a little bit more of I think, a
nutty.
nuttier flavor,
Okay.
So, but
Ooh.
taro, they will, do it the luau's. You'll find them. You'll find taro that's been cooked, and it can be wrapped in banana leaves or coconut leaves or whatever, and then, we went to a fish market, which is where we actually sat
Oh,
down
I
to
know.
have a
Listen,
lunch.
I'm going to interrupt you here because you've
Yeah.
already had yellowtail.
Yes.
You had to enjoy this food tour because of the fish. I know you
Oh
and
gosh.
fish. Yeah, you're happy,
Absolutely.
happy girl. But I
Very
also want to
happy.
backtrack a little bit that you went through
Yeah.
a Chinatown. You
Oh
passed by it
yes.
on the tour, which is
Yeah.
something people wouldn't probably think of being in Hawaii, right? And because isn't there, is it mostly a Japanese and Maori culture, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, because I have not
It's
been there
full.
yet, so I'm allowed to
Well,
be
it
wrong.
it was the first Chinatown outside of China that was created, and it's
Wow.
really a melting pot. According to Lanai, he said that all these various Asian cultures have come and established their places there, whether it's restaurants, whether it's markets, whether it's even Chinese herbalists and acupuncturists, a lot of health-related practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a variety, so it's kind of a meld of Asian cultures there that
Yeah.
you'll find. Yeah,
That's
so it's
awesome. I know
interesting.
McCona, who's been on our show, the musician, he's half Chinese too. So it was like, I
Right.
was like, oh, I didn't know that that was going on in Hawaii. So
Yes,
that's cool to know. So you went by there. Do you want to go there? Like go to, yeah, I know you didn't get chance to go there, but would you go? And
of
I
course.
mean, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, if I had
I
had
would want
time,
to
I
go.
would have gone back and found a fun little dim sum restaurant or something, and
Yeah.
or peruse the markets. I love looking at the markets and
I think
seeing all these interesting things that they're selling.
it's just interesting to me because every time you go there and other writers go, I'm always like, Hawaii seems to really understand like strength of culture and celebrate cultures. Like you're allowed to be who you are, right? In a way, it's like it feels very much like be who you are as your cultural roots and
I
to
think
be strong about it.
culture
And food is
culture
part of that.
Yeah, food is a huge part of culture, but I think culture is very important to the Hawaiians, and traditions are very important to the Hawaiian people. And
Mm,
so, there's a resurgence on, especially like the island of Hawaii, what they call the Big Island. But there's a resurgence and using Hawaiian terminology and names and language and food is all a part of that, and it's wonderful that you can go and you can appreciate, you can feel like you've really stepped into an area where there's just a whole different meld of cultures that you might not
mm.
be accustomed to from where you are coming from.
Yeah, I think on the mainland, if we haven't been there, which I have not, so please, sorry if I mess up any names. You want to learn. We want to learn. And I think
Of
America
course.
as in the mainland, we have a lot of still learning to do about the cultures, how to pronounce things. We've always said Hawaii, but it's Hawaii,
Yes.
we're
Hawaii, yeah, and
all
Lanai,
still
and
learning. Yeah, we're all still learning. And so I think the best way to learn is to go. But let's go back to where you were first talking. I interrupted you, sorry, but I wanted to talk about Chinatown. I didn't want to let go of Chinatown. You were talking about Young's Fish Market. So this is really cool. So when you go to a fish market over there, is it mostly like seafood or is it freshwater fish? What kind of fish are we looking at? Because I
it's
know
all different
you had a
kinds of
good
fish.
time.
Yeah, it's all different
Ooh.
kinds of fish that they have. So this market, part of it is a market where you can actually go buy the fish and take it home, and the other part is a
Oh,
restaurant. And so they are known for their Hawaiian plate meals, which are very distinctive over there, and they're usually including things like poi, things like sweet Hawaiian sweet potatoes, things
hmm.
like lomi lomi salmon, the kalua pig, and lau lau. And I had to learn, what some of this was.
Kahlua pig. What?
And it's a type of pig, but poi is, everybody, if you don't know what poi is, it's once again a starch. It's a staple of the diet in Hawaii. It's made from the taro. And so we were just talking about taro. So if you cook it and mash the taro, you're going to have poi. And it's kind of got a purple color to it.
Mm.
It is one of the superfoods because it's high fiber, low sodium, gluten free, vitamin B,
Wow.
calcium. It's really, if you existed on anything but if you just had poi, you would probably be doing quite well. And so it is a staple of the diet there. And lomi lomi is just kind of a mix of raw salmon, and it's got like some tomatoes that are diced up and onions, and of course sweet potatoes, which are wonderful. They're purple in color. I love sweet
Oh,
potatoes. I'll eat them anytime. And
me
Kahlua
too.
pig is basically roasted pork that's shredded and cooked in an underground oven. And I have an interesting note that I wanted to mention. I learned
Mm.
that women in Hawaii were forbidden under these ancient codes of conduct. They couldn't eat pork, and they couldn't eat food of like bananas or even coconuts, and they weren't allowed to
What?
eat with men. And these laws stayed in effect until King Kamehameha II abolished the system in 1819, which finally allowed women to eat bananas and coconuts and Kahlua pig and to eat with men.
Wow. So this took, see, we've all been fighting no matter what part of the world, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Is,
these were these strict, this ancient code of conduct that the king, instilled, and women, were forbidden to do many different things, but not to eat bananas, not to eat, coconut, and not to be able to eat with a man.
and you think now, like as women, we'll walk around just like, oh, eat a banana, but you've got to think, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah,
looking at
yeah,
bananas right now as we record this, going,
yeah.
um, don't let the banana go to waste now. Like women were forbidden to eat those and
Is
coconuts.
it's
Like,
it's crazy. And then the lao lao that I mentioned is
mm-mm.
basically kind of a combination of pork and fish, and they wrap it in a tea leaf, they steam it, and this is another like luau type of dish. And so when you have a plate lunch, you'll have many of these different components. And
Mm.
so yeah, it's a wonderful way to be able to try several things at one time on this food tour. And I highly recommend doing something like this, whether you're in Hawaii or whether you're in any city and place part, whether it's in lower 48 in the mainland, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Asia,
Venice, like you did
anywhere.
Venice.
Venice, yeah. And it just I've taken them all over the world, and each time I love them. I come away with a real good knowledge base of the food and the culture, and not only that, it's just very tasty.
Well, and now can I mention this
Yes,
ubai?
ube,
What's going
ube,
on with this? Yeah, yeah. What's this? Because that
ube.
sounds
You
interesting.
So the shop is called UBAE in capital letters, stands for ube before anything else. And ube is a type of yam which is noted for its vibrant purple color. It has a very creamy texture, and over the years, it's become kind of a craze particularly in ice. I've seen it in ice cream shops a lot. The first time I ever had ube was an ice cream, and it was in Molokai
Hmm.
many years ago. But since then, I've seen it, pop up everywhere. And this shop is wonderful because they take the ube, and they make cheesecake and cheesecake tarts and cookies and cake and pies
Ooh,
and they make
bring
all
it.
these different things. And I had these little bite-sized ube
Mm.
cheesecake tarts that were
Ooh.
just yummy, yummy, yummy. In fact,
Hmm.
I'm craving for one.
I'm like, you said cheesecake. That's it for me.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Bring it, you know.
Anyway, it was a great way to end the tour. Something
Oh,
sweet for dessert. Yeah.
but not over sweet, right?
No, 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 not at all.
So this is all through secrethawaiitours.com. That's the website to go to, and everything is linked in the show notes, Debbie's article, so you can see the photos, so you can drool. And you know, when you go to
Get hungry.
Honolulu, this is where you go. You go do
Yep,
that. Would you say this would
yep.
be one of the, like if you land in Honolulu, try and do this before you do anything else? Would it be one of those kind of ways to learn and get
It's a
your bearings in a
yeah.
way?
I think it's a great idea, but I also think for another reason because you get to kind of sample the food and you get to kind of see what you like and maybe what you don't like, but also you get to pick the brain of Lanai, who knows everything and can steer you to. He gives you a whole list of restaurants and places to go to that he recommends in Honolulu. And
Oh,
so, it's really nice.
that's
That
cool.
kind of knowledge is nice. And so you can say to him, "Hey, I'm looking for, a good place that's, reasonable, that, has some really, really good poke or whatever it is." So that gives you a lot of information before you start to go off and eat at different restaurants in town. So yeah, it's a great way to kind of introduce yourself.
So I'm just gonna say, like, I would like to meet Lanai. Like, honestly,
Yes.
like, I think we have a little jealousy now going on. I'm just saying that you met
Well,
an icon that knows all the
he's
foodie
definitely a
stuff.
character, and he's
He
very
hung out
interesting
with
and
Anthony
knowledgeable.
Bourdain,
Yeah.
like, come
Yeah.
on. Cooked for
Yep.
him too, co-hosted
Yep.
a show. Like, hello,
Yep.
hello,
Yep.
like a little jealousy, just a little. So everyone, you may want to go check it out. The links are in the show notes. Stay tuned because we've got another episode coming up. Thanks, Debbie. Fire Monkey.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Big Blend Radio's Global Adventures Show with travel writer Debbie Stone. Debbie is here every fourth Tuesday. You can keep up with us at bigblendradio.com.